Hey guys, I'm Ali Candelmo, and I just took you through the underwater Reefs Go Live lesson, Lionfish, the perfect invader. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. Just to recap a little on what we did, you guys learned what an invasive species is. Remember, an invasive species is an organism, such as a plant and an animal, that doesn't belong to the area it's in. It's been introduced and usually causes harm to the environment or the economy. So lionfish is an invasive marine fish, and it's spread throughout all of the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, down through Central and South America. And on Little Cayman and throughout the area, we've been doing a lot of research to try to figure out how harmful they are to the reefs. We found that they are reducing the biomass on the reefs. They're a threat to the small-bodied prey fish, and so they sometimes target herbivores like parrotfish, and that's a bit, really bad for our reefs because parrotfish are important for keeping macroalgae in check. So scientists and volunteers are putting an effort in to help reduce lionfish populations. We do that here on Little Cayman by spearing them. I showed you how I spear a lionfish. Here's the lionfish that we caught today. And then taking them off the reefs, and then people eat them. They're delicious food. Remember, they're venomous but not poisonous. So overall, one of the big things that we've been learning with our tagging study, and you guys got to watch me put a tag inside a lionfish, and then we've released it. It's going to swim around and collect data for 6 months by these receivers that are out on the reef. And what we've been seeing is that predators, just like the nurse shark, and potentially groupers and snappers and other sharks and eels out on the reef, are actually starting to eat lionfish. We've seen some of our tags that were in a lionfish kind of become a predator and start swimming along the reef, and we can track that fish until it poops it out and the tag ends up on the reef wall. So that's really exciting. That means that these top predators are actually going to help lower the population of lionfish. In areas like Little Cayman, where we have a really healthy top predator population, large grouper, a decent amount of sharks, mutton snappers, those areas are going to be much better at keeping lionfish populations down. So that's important to protect those top predators. What you guys can do to help reduce lionfish is eat them whenever you have the chance. If they offer them at a restaurant, you should go out and order it. Maybe ask your restaurants or local stores to start bringing them in. Tell them that you want them. They're delicious. I actually have one right now that we had out on the boat with you that I'm going to fillet for dinner tonight. I'm thinking maybe lion curry, maybe some fish cakes. I do make a really great lionfish dip. Maybe I'll start selling it as a side job. So thanks again for listening, and Claire and team getting ready for another Reefs Go Live lesson called Herbivores. Don't forget to eat your greens, reds, and browns. So I hope you guys are going to stay tuned for that and learn all about the importance of parrotfish and other herbivores, and again, why we need to keep lionfish in check so they don't disturb the balance of that food chain.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Reefs Go Live. My name is Noelle, and I'm a research scientist at the Central Caribbean Marine Institute. Today, we'll be coming to you live from the reefs of Little Cayman. We apologize for the slight delay. Sometimes things don't go as well as we planned, but we're here now and about ready to get started. Diving with us today, we have CCMI research scientist Dr. Claire Dell. She'll be teaching us about herbivory today, and we'll be exploring the reef with her. Before we get started, let's take a look at your activity sheet and make sure you've got that ready to go in front of you. Today you'll be helping Claire figure out just what kind of impact the herbivores have on the reef. Alright, so we're all ready to go up here, so let's check in with the guys down below. Hey Claire, how are you guys doing down there?
We're doing well on the reef here. How are you up on the boat?
We're all set and ready to go up here, so take it away.
Great. Thanks, Noelle. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the dive site Eagle Ray here on Little Cayman. It's got its name for these big sand patches around here where the eagle rays like to come in and feed, so hopefully we'll see one today. My name's Claire. I'm one of the research scientists here at CCMI, and my work revolves around herbivory. That's the process where animals eat plants or plant-like organisms for energy. So we're going to be exploring that on the reef and figuring out what are the most important herbivores here in the Cayman Islands.
All right, well, it sounds like it's going to be a great dive, so let's go ahead and get started. Today, you're going to be teaching us about the influence of seaweed on the reef and why it's so important. But before we get to that, can you just remind us about why reefs are so important in general?
Yes, of course. So behind me here you can see this incredible living structure that is built by corals. Corals secrete this limestone skeleton that over time accumulates to form this huge structure here. And this is hugely important for hundreds of thousands of species. You can see the fish that live here, but there are also crabs and worms and lobsters and snails and you name it. They all find their home in this reef. But of course it's hugely important for us as well. We can find food here. This structure is also like a self-repairing seawall. It's able to protect islands from the effect of storms and wave erosion. And, of course, it generates income. Tourists fly from all over the world specifically to see this reef and spend money in the country, in restaurants and hotels, and they buy souvenirs. So it's a hugely useful resource, and it's really in our best interest to keep it healthy.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Claire. We've already talked a lot about coral reefs in previous lessons, so hopefully our students remember some of that from before. So now, can you tell me a little bit about seaweed? Just what is it that we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, so seaweed is just the general word for macroalgae. Algae being big so that we can see it with the naked eye. And you will see it growing all over the reef here. Now, in the nursery lecture, Katie mentioned the good algae and the bad algae. The good algae is the microscopic small ones, microscopic meaning we need a microscope to see them. And they live in the tissue of the corals and help them get their energy. The bad algae is this stuff that grows on the reef and can really get big and take over. Now, the problem with the macroalgae is that it shades the corals, meaning that they don't get the light so they can't get food. It also can rub against them, and this abrasion can damage the coral tissue and make them more prone to infection. And then also the seaweed can stop the water flow, so the particulates in the water can drop onto the corals and just be more dirt that the corals then have to clean themselves off. All of this means that the corals need to use their energy to fight infections and protect themselves when they should be putting it towards growth and reproduction. And so what you find is that reefs that have a lot of seaweed, the corals there, they grow less, they reproduce less, they're more prone to disease, and they die more. So all in all, the seaweed is a really negative influence, a really negative presence on the reef. Now here in the Caribbean, you'll find there are two main species that really take over. They're the most kind of dominant, the most prevalent. And I actually have two examples here, and I think you do on the boat as well. The one is Lobophora. And the ID book says it looks like a potato chip, but I'm going to leave you to make up your mind about that. That's this one here. And the other one is Dictyota, and it gets its name, or you can tell this one from the Y-shaped branches. And so you'll tend to see these two species throughout the entire Caribbean.
Yeah, that's right, and we have those on the boat with us. You can see this one is Dictyota that we talked about. You can see those Y branches if you get really close. And then we've also got the Lobophora, the one that might look like a potato chip. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yes, I'm not too sure.
All right, and you can see how fleshy those are as well. So we'll talk more about how some are structurally different later on in the lesson. But for now, Claire, so you talked about how seaweed impacts corals, but does the seaweed compete with each other and with other seaweeds that are on the reef?
Yes, they do. And actually, I've spent the past month asking that exact question over on Cayman Brack. I put multiple species together in pairs and basically watched to see how they coped. Now, the Lobophora and the Dictyota, those two that are so common, they release these chemicals that protect them from getting eaten and protect them from, or help them compete against their neighbors. And what I found was that they lived the longest when they were paired up next to other species. So, various others that we'll talk about later in the lesson, they ended up dying far sooner when they were paired next to Lobophora, the potato chip one, than when they were by themselves or with other species. So it really seems that, like, the potato chip, the Lobophora, is the strongest competitor out of all of these species, and the chemicals that it produces really help it get established on the reef.
Awesome. That's really cool, Claire. Thank you so much for answering that. Remember, guys, send in any questions that you have throughout the whole lesson, and I'll ask Claire, and she can answer those for you guys. So, now that we've seen why seaweed is such a problem on the reef and how it interacts with corals and with other seaweed, can you tell us a little bit about what you mean when you say herbivory and why that's important?
Herbivory is, well, like where animals eat plants or plant-like organisms. And what you'll find is that the reefs that have too much seaweed are in a pretty bad shape. We need the corals to be healthy if they're to be able to grow and build this structure. And so we need to keep the seaweed at a very manageable level. I'm sure all of us have had situations where our neighbors have really stressed us, and it's just the same on the reef. The seaweed stress out the corals, and so if we want the corals to be growing and building this reef, we need to have very little seaweed or macroalgae. And that is why we need the herbivores, those animals that eat plants or plant-like organisms. So let's see which ones we can find around here. Noelle, are you able to ask people whether they can give any suggestions of herbivores on the reef?
Yeah, we can see if any of our students have any suggestions for what herbivores you might see or maybe know about from before. But
there's one. I'll give you a clue.
Oh, okay. Which one are we seeing down there?
It's a red band.
Oh, okay. So we've got some parrotfish. They must be herbivores.
That's exactly right. They can have this fused teeth that forms a beak, and that's where they get their name. There's a few of them around here. I wonder whether there are any others around.
I think one of our students thinks that urchins might be herbivorous. Is that right?
Oh, they are spot on. Urchins are a hugely important herbivore. They do an excellent job of grazing the seaweed. The problem is that a disease came through and killed 99% of them in the entire region. And so there's hardly any of them left. So sadly, the role of herbivory is only really performed by the fish now. Can you think of any other species that might be herbivores?
I think that one of our students also said surgeonfish. Do you know what those are?
Yes, let's see if we can find one. Surgeonfish are definitely herbivores. Did you know how they get their name?
No, I don't know. Can you tell me?
Yes, they have a scalpel, a really, really sharp blade at the base of their tail that they use to fight with each other. And I've actually been cut by one once, and it is just like a scalpel. So sharp. So that's what gives them their name. I don't see any right now. There's a huge stockpipe parrotfish over there, though. And then one of the other species of herbivores is the Bermuda chub. Now, there was one that was hanging around. I didn't see him the other day, and I don't see him today, but hopefully he'll come out. And from what I found from my work, they are one of the main herbivores here in the Cayman Islands. So hopefully they'll put in an appearance and we can see them.
Yeah, that would be really great to see some of them. Claire, do you have time to take a couple questions from some of our students?
Yes, absolutely. Fire away.
Okay, so Christian from Red Bay Primary School wants to know how seaweed reproduces.
Yes, well, there's all kinds of ways, actually. Seaweed span several phyla, so different kingdoms in the whole taxonomy, and they have all kinds of different ways of reproducing. So some of them broadcast spawn, just like corals. Others have almost internal fertilization, but a lot of them rely on fragmentation and asexual cloning. So they'll produce kind of runners like strawberries and grow separate plants. And a lot of them will spread from storms and dislodgement, and the pieces will float away and they'll be able to just grow and do well. So lots of different methods, but they're pretty good at it. Any other questions? I like that one. Keep them coming.
Yeah, that was a great question. Yeah, we've got a couple more questions. So tell us a little more about urchins. How fast do they grow?
That's a tricky one. Well, they do start small and they tend to get big like a lot of other things. But they have this really tricky tactic for survival. And when food is scarce, they're able to reabsorb their skeleton, so they'll shrink. But so they require less food to keep going. And then when conditions improve, they're able to grow again. So you can't really tell whether an urchin is small because it's young or just because it's not had enough food.
Got you. That's interesting. So let's take one more question from our students here on Little Cayman. They want to know if seaweed is healthy for people to eat.
Excellent. Some certainly is. It's meant to be a great source for lots of different elements and ions that we need. The Japanese have been eating seaweed for years. I would refer to them and say there's probably some species that are great and some we might want to avoid. But I lived in Fiji for a while and there were a few that they sold like snacks. It tasted a bit like salt water, but you know, I'm still here, so give it a try, that's what I say.
Okay, great. Thanks for answering some of those questions, Claire. So you told us about several different species that eat algae off of the reef, like urchins, chub, parrotfish, and surgeonfish. But just how much are they eating?
Right, well, I've actually been asking that question myself, and I was hoping that some of you could come and help me get the answer to that. So, let's swim over to the reef where I've had one of my experiments set up. What I've done is put a few different species of seaweed out on ropes and then filmed to see which fish come in and how many bites they take. So, if you're up for it, give me a hand doing those counts today. Over this way, you will see 3 ropes, and For those of you who've got your worksheets, there is the green, the red, and the brown seaweed on those ropes. So Noelle will give you a bit more information about the activity, but come and have a look. What I was hoping is you'd be able to count how many bites the fish take, and from that we can figure out which species eats the most, which is the most important here on this reef. Here we are.
All right, sounds good, Claire. So now for you students, make sure you've got your worksheet out in front of you, and we're going to show you just what Claire was talking about, and you are going to help us count and see how many bites different types of fish are taking off of each rope. So on your sheet, there should be on the left-hand side, the green, in the middle is red, and on the right, you've got your brown. So we're going to play you a clip, and it's going to be for 1 minute, and you're going to count, and at the end, we'll tally in everybody's counts, and we'll talk about the results that we got. So we'll play that for you guys now. Oh, it looks like we've got a bite on the first one. Did you guys see that? Do you know what kind of fish that is? And it looks like we had one parrotfish take a bite from the one on the right. Do you guys remember which rope that is? And that fish that you're seeing is a tang. Looks like that guy's kind of hungry. He's taking a bite off of the brown. That guy looks like he might take a lot of bites. Make sure you keep up. Alright guys, so I hope you're able to keep track of how many bites each of the fish were taking off of those ropes. So teachers, if you can, tally up for your class how many bites people got from that video and send it in, and then we can talk about what those mean. So for now, let's get back to Claire and see what else she has for us.
Thanks, Noelle. Yes, so these are pretty important species, actually. Let me show you. This one is sargassum, and I bet you recognize this. It's the one that washes up in huge quantities on the beaches, and you can see those big floating mats in the water. This is the species, and you'll see it clogging up the beaches. It's a brown seaweed. Here's an urchin hiding away in the reef. Do you want to have a quick focus on that, Drew?
Well, it's good to see that we still have some of those urchins around after you talked about that die-off a while ago. So hopefully that means that our reefs are going to be doing pretty healthy.
Yes, exactly. This one is a red species, and you may have noticed that there were a lot of bites taken from this one. If you remember me talking about those other two species producing chemicals in chemical defenses, this red one doesn't really produce any defenses, and so it's this just delicious food for a lot of fish. And that is why you don't tend to see it on the reefs. You tend to find it in the lagoons and in places where there aren't that many herbivores around. So if you see this on the reef, you know that there's a real shortage of herbivores. And the reef is in pretty poor shape. Now this one, you may also recognize. It's a green seaweed. And this is responsible for a lot of the sand on our beautiful beaches. Do you know how we get there from this to sand?
I don't know, Claire. Can you tell us?
I'd love to. Well, this seaweed doesn't produce chemicals to defend itself. It actually produces a structural defense instead. And it, you'll be amazed to hear this, produces a limestone skeleton just like the corals do. And that deters a lot of the fish from feeding on it. And so, there are some fish, you'll be able to confirm this once you look at your results, but the parrotfish really digest this, whereas a lot of others can't. They have an incredible mechanism in the back of their throat, just like a pestle and mortar, that is able to mechanically grind the seaweed down. And so they eat it as seaweed, and then they grind it up, and it comes out the other end as particles. Sand. And that is where a lot of our sandy beaches come from.
We've got some examples.
Parrotfish poop.
We've got some examples here on the boat for our students to see up close. Here is our halimeda, that green that we were talking about. And you can see it when it's green, that means it's healthy. But when it's not healthy and it dies, it turns white like this. And this is how brittle it is. And you can break it up. And that is what Claire was talking about with the sand. Meanwhile, let's talk about those numbers that you guys sent in, which you guys did an awesome job. Thanks for helping us out. So we had, on the green, we had 3 bites by a parrotfish. On the brown, we had 7 bites by a parrotfish. And then on the red, we had 19 bites by a tang. So Claire, can you tell us a little bit about that? What do those numbers mean?
Yeah, so that sounds great. We found a lot of bites on the red one, which makes sense because it doesn't really produce the defenses. We also noticed that those are by the tang, a type of surgeonfish. Now, you remember I mentioned the parrotfish have that really mechanical digestive tract, and they're able to grind down those structural defenses. Well, the surgeonfish are the other type. They are able to deal with chemical defenses better. They cannot handle the limestone of those green seaweeds. And so you'll find the parrotfish eating those, but the surgeonfish are able to eat the much softer ones, but they are able to cope with those chemical defenses. And so there's a lot of differences in how the seaweeds try and survive and how the fish try and get their food. It's interesting down here.
Thanks, Claire. That is really interesting. So we'll take 1 or 2 questions now, if you don't mind answering some of those.
Great. Yes, let's do that.
Okay, the first question we have is, just why is all of that sargassum washing up all over the beaches here in the Caribbean?
Yeah, this is just a brilliant indication of how connected things are. What they found is that deforestation along the Amazon River has caused all of those soil nutrients in soil to wash down into the Atlantic, and all of those nutrients have just been what the seaweed is looking for. And so sargassum is very fast growing, and it's just been taking up these nutrients and loving life. And then the currents will sweep up and bring it into the Caribbean, where it washes up around the region. And lots of islands have been complaining